Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Oh,
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Your day got complicated?
Hmm?
I said
Yeah.
your day got complicated?
Well, my night probably was complicated.
Ah,
My CPAP machine tells me that the mask was loose or the hose was loose many times last night. So I must have been very restless and yeah,
pain.
yeah.
Well, we're worrying about our son Dylan in New Orleans now, so I was awake part of the night worrying about him.
Well, what's going on there?
Oh, he shouldn't be trying to live at his dad's house.
Uh,
It's not good for him. And his girlfriend that he'd been with for over a year um, decided to break it off, and that seems to have really knocked him down.
yeah.
And he's just struggling at the moment.
Too bad.
He needs to find a job. He needs to get back to California. Um, just a lot of things that he needs to take care of, and he's having trouble getting it together.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I've heard that story too many times.
Yeah, and he is 40.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
he's, he's,
we continually say that, the younger generations live quite a bit differently than than we did growing up, so
that's for sure. But this too shall pass.
yeah, yeah.
Um, our
I
other,
understand I mean, it has to be in the back of your mind most of the day, so yeah.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I was trying to figure out yesterday. I had difficulty concentrating in my class yesterday,
Uh,
and then I figured out why.
yeah,
Even me.
well, we all tend to be human at times.
Yes, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Keeps us in line. Uh, at least we've got nice weather.
Yeah. Um, what do we do? The low 70s today?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. For one day.
Hey, that's all you could ask for.
Yeah.
One day at a time. Well, Jeffrey, I always wonder at this point, did I miss
Yeah.
a message? But no, I didn't.
Well, his Tuesday mornings seem to be very tightly
Yeah, here he is.
planned. Yeah.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Good morning. Hi, Bill.
Hi. I overslept.
Jeff is just trying to focus.
Yep.
Yeah, my cam, always gets moved a bit during the week because it's attached to my monitor, but it's kind of free flowing. So as I move the monitor, and I always have to readjust when it's time for class, especially because my view window is pretty tight for you to see.
Yeah.
You can't see my whole body, so I'm trying to make sure you see my feet, my hands, at least up to here, anyways.
What we can.
Yeah, we do the best we can.
Absolutely.
Usually enough.
Is this an early morning, Jeff, or?
No. Actually, Kate, this is a rare Tuesday that she's not working, so
Oh,
I'm here.
alrighty.
Yeah.
So, any questions about opening and closing the wrist?
I've got to work on it more. So
Yeah.
don't know that I've made a lot of progress. I've tried it several times for short periods of time, and just,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working on it.
So, I think I've said this, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to go ahead and teach the series of opening and closings, but I don't expect you to accomplish them each week. You can go back, stay where you are, get comfortable there, and then go back and look at the lesson and go to the next stage.
Right.
But I have no plans to stop teaching, but one never knows.
Right. No, that's the beauty of recording all of these, is they're there for us to always refer to.
As long as there's YouTube.
Yeah.
So, any other questions or thoughts before we begin? Okay. So, stage 2 of this is that we look at the hand. And one of the things we have to understand is that every joint in the body is connected to every other joint, including in the fingers, that each joint is connected to the next joint and to the next joint. They're all connected. And they're connected to your hand, and they're connected to your wrist, and they go right on. When you get past your fingers and have basically the metacarpals of your hand, we come to the center of your palm, which of course is the Laogong point. And I'm presuming you both know where the Laogong point is located. It's one of the most important energy points in the body. And it's going to open and close with the joints. And one of the things about the Laogong is that unless the metacarpal bones of the hand, not the fingers, but the hand open and close, it can't open and close. So when we start with the hand, just as we did with the wrist, we start with opening the metacarpals of the hand 100% as far as they'll go, and then close them in as far as they'll go, 100% in each direction. And that, of course, is just basically a muscular movement. But you feel that range of motion. And then you want to find, where is 70%? Just focusing on the metacarpals of the hand. Other joints may move, back to that concept that everything is connected. But you want to find just a concept of where is that 70% in and out.
David,
Yes.
this is lateral movement only, or is there movement?
It's
between-
principally lateral, yes.
Okay.
Yep. At the moment.
Well, I was wondering about the base of the metacarpal and the wrist, and then
Yeah. Well,
the digits, so.
basically, at this point, you're looking. Remember that we are looking in all the joints for the vertical opening and closing,
Yeah.
which doesn't necessarily mean up and down. It means in one plane.
Okay.
So you're quite right. The movement at this point is going to be a lateral movement. So this process that we have started of looking at each joint separately and then combining them is going to continue. Now when we come to the knuckles in the fingers, we've got a lot of knuckle bones. So one of the things that happens here is that you have to start with each one. So you open this joint 100 and close it 100, and then you go up and open the second one and close it, and open the third one and close it, and you're trying to find that 100%, and you go through all the joints of all the knuckles in your hand, and there are 15 of them, so there's a lot. So you want to really just take the time and find how that feels, and try not to stiffen up your hand and wrist as you're doing this. You're really trying to feel what's happening in the individual knuckle in each finger. And then when you get to the thumb, we only have 2 joints. And one of the things I might say is that there is a tendency when you're doing these joints to resist it, to fight against the pull of your fingers. It'll be best if you can have your elbow kind of braced at your side or resting on a table, so that it doesn't have a tendency to float around and the rest of your arm to start pulling back from what you're doing. So you try to isolate what you're doing. Is that a question, Bill?
Nope. No,
Oh.
My elbow is resting on the desk.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to check. And then you do that with 70%. Just take the time to go through and just feel how each of those joints can very, very slightly move. What it feels like. Of course, with 70%, you're not going to get much movement. It's going to be very small, but you have to really try to focus on that knuckle. Because one of the things we find when we get to opening and closing the fingers is that some of the fingers will be open and the energy would move, and some of them be closed. And you may need to do some of this with certain fingers to help it open. But you want to go through all those knuckles and feel all of them opening, being pulled open to 170%. And of course, the knuckles are connected to the metacarpals of the hand and to the wrist bone, wrist bone, and to the Laogong point. So they all have to be connected to each other, because this is what your body does in real life. This is how your body works. Now, if we go back, and I just, I'm just going to show this to you. You can kind of see it. The trick is going, oh, no, we did that. Never mind. I'm abbreviating some of this for you. You can read all of it yourself later on. So we'll start with one finger at a time and do it. Blah, blah, blah. It takes a bit of time to do this because it's you probably haven't done it before, although Bill started it last week. And you need to understand what you're trying to do. We'll about that later. One of the things I might just mention that we will look at somewhat later is that you can make the joints of the entire body move by directing it from just one joint, and it could be any joint. So that is a possibility, because each joint in your body is directly connected to every other joint in your body. It's much like when you have a guitar and you pluck one string, the next string or two will start to vibrate. That's how your body works. Now, a question: what is macrocosm and microcosm? What is the big opening and small opening? To try and understand, there is there is no part of your body that doesn't open and close. We all know about the heart. That's exactly what your intestines do. They squeeze in, they squeeze out, they squeeze in, and they release. That's how the stuff comes out. Look at your bladder. Your bladder opens up and out comes the pee. And that goes for every joint in your body. Your blood vessels do it. That is the very way in which your blood vessels move the blood along your body. It's actually squeeze and release. It helps to build up the pressure and then release it. And this goes for virtually everything inside your body. It even goes for the neural pathways. The way nerves release signals that releases signals from one set of ganglia to the next set, to the next set, and to the next. So this is something your body universally does. And this is the reason why they say in Qigong that without opening and closing, there is no Tai Chi. There is no unification of the body. So the basic yin-yang functions of your body are to a great degree all determined by opening and closings. The point is that they all connect. Now in Western anatomy, there's a lot of different names for this. Even for different parts of the body, different names in some cases. So the Chinese keep it easy. Opening and closing is really hard not to remember. So you did the fingers. What I'd like you to do is to focus on the metacarpals of the hand and open them 100% and close them 100%. And open 100 and close to 100 as much as you possibly can. And just feel that movement of the metacarpal bones in your hand. And then do 70%. Or whatever partial movement feels appropriate to you. And remember that this is still a physical movement. But this is preparing you for opening and closing. That when you just simply practice the 70%, gradually opening and closing simply occurs. You begin to feel something inside causing the movement. And then go back to the Laogong point. And in case either of you have any question about it, if you touch the palm with your middle finger, it will touch the Laogong point. And You're going to open the Laogong, which you do by, again, spreading the metacarpals as much as you can. And then you close it 100%, closing the metacarpals as much as you can. But you're focusing on the Laogong point now and feeling it respond to what you're doing physically. And then go to 70%. Feel that Laogong point open and close 70%. And you don't have to worry too much about being accurate to the specific degree, but finding that range of motion that doesn't have the stiffness that you had at 100%. So let me pause for a moment. Either of you have a question there? Okay.
One question, since we're also now incorporating, the Laogong point and maybe other points, when we're doing the wrist and opening and closing that, is there an associated point in there, like this point in the wrist?
No.
It's not. Okay.
There are points which will open and close, but we don't focus on every point. Since your mind probably can't comprehend that.
Right.
So then do the same thing, but think about doing the fingers, the hand, and Laogong. So doing all of those parts together. So 100% in and out. And somebody asked once, wouldn't closing in be a fist? And actually, it isn't, because that really, it creates a block rather than simply closing the bones and the point. But everything does curl and come in, and then everything releases and extends out. And then do 70%. I will just say that even just doing that makes my Laogong point pulse. And then add the wrist. Do 100% again. And 100% in. And 100% out. And in. And then 70%. And yes, you can do both hands at once, or you can do one hand at a time in your practice. I mean, you can't pull the finger joints of both hands at once, but at least I presume you can. But I suppose you do one hand with your mouth. And so, any questions in there? Okay. So, try the 8 gates and letting your hands and wrist and Laogong point open and close 70% as you go through that.
As we do, just so I understand, as we do the 70%, we're trying to incorporate now, not just doing it physically. We're trying to incorporate letting the energy do as much as it can and then supplementing with physical movement after that.
You're not trying to make the energy do anything.
Trying to let it do it.
Right.
But
And-
I mean, that's letting the energy do its part as much as it can before we then
Yeah,
supplement.
and you're really the principle in working with getting to opening and closing is finding that release where it just happens. So in other words, you're not looking for opening and closing. You're looking for moving the hand and the wrist and Laogong points 70%. And if you are lucky enough, I know Bill feels some of this. If you're lucky enough to arrive at the energy beginning to move through there in a way that you can feel, that's great. And let the energy do it. And the thing is that eventually opening and closing is not doing anything. It is it is simply allowing your body to do it. It's a little hard to, you don't want to put words into anybody's mind, but it is it's not the same as bending and extending or lengthening. It doesn't feel the same. So you're looking for you're allowing through relaxed practice to let it develop till you're aware of it.
Right, and then when I asked that, I was contrasting it to when we are doing 100%, and you said let your muscles do all of that work at 100%, versus when we now are lessening that to 70% or whatever. We're letting the energy do its part first, and then asking the muscles for some help.
No, that's doing it. That's not what you're doing. That's not what you're trying to accomplish. You're continuing to use the muscles at 70%.
Yeah, yes, that's what I was asking.
Right. And if the energy appears and takes over, great. If it doesn't, you're still practicing at 70% with the muscles.
All right.
It just takes time.
Mhm.
I would have to say, I think I was pretty slow at arriving at it. I don't think I could actually open and close my entire body until I had been doing this for at least 25 years.
Wow. Did this start with
I mean,
the show?
I mean Tai Chi, not just opening and closing.
Right. But I don't recall way back when we were working mostly with Master Joe's principles and teachings. I don't remember doing anything related to this. Did he talk about this, or was this part of what he taught, or was this more that what you've learned more recently?
Both. He taught it too,
Okay.
but he taught it in a fire method rather than in a water method.
Okay.
So, for instance, I think I've told you this, but maybe not. One of the practices that he did with us was he had us lie on the floor and tighten all the muscles in our body until we had lifted everything off the floor we could and had the fewest number of points still connected to the floor, and hold it for 30 minutes and then release.
Mm-hmm.
There was some realization about things when you released, a combination of things, but that kind of making it happen is a fire method. And that's where I differ from Master Joe, is that I work very much with his principles, but I have really adopted Bruce's the Taoist method of the water method.
Mm-hmm.
Because not that the fire method does not work, but it doesn't work for everybody, and it can be dangerous. So the one of the good things about the water method is it works very well too, but it doesn't have that secondary danger of what you might do if you're trying to force something to happen.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's kind of, I don't know, did that help?
Yeah, I was just trying to get a feel for your evolution of, opening and closing certainly, but also some of the other things we've worked on, the twisting and the bending and the stretching and everything else that we didn't used to work on at all in my earlier years, and your earlier years too.
You know, Master Joe did, but he did a lot of things very differently. And he didn't use that particular language.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get right down to it, what he's trying eventually to do is exactly the same. It's just that the water method breaks it down into perhaps more understandable elements. The fire method hopes that you will have a kind of forced breakthrough at some point where all these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the water method is trying to lead us through allowing them to happen.
Right. Was his the 100-day philosophy, was that part of a fire method, or does that really equally applicable to both fire and water? When
It's more
philosophy that if you do it for 100 days, it should sink in. I remember Jay
depends on how it's that what you're talking about.
So it could be applicable to both fire and water equally then?
Yeah, but that usually where it applies to both is when you're learning the movements of something new.
Right.
If you practice a new form every day for 100 days, it's in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was the primary application of that. I never heard Master Joe suggest that if you practiced one of them was something where you were trying to work on internal energy for 100 days that you would get it.
Okay.
Any questions for you, Bill?
No.
Okay. So,
I will say that this applies probably only to my hands, but 8 years of playing the piano, I think makes a difference
yeah.
in terms of the way, my sensitivity of, my hands and individual parts of it.
Yep. Well, that.
If we get to the other parts of my body,
Well, maybe you could carry it over.
A great deal of practice in all those years, isn't there?
sorry.
I said there's a great deal of practice in all of those years, isn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
So you know what practice means.
Right.
Oh, yeah. My mother made sure.
Don't they? Okay. 8 gates, guys. So how was that?
Pretty good.
Good.
No, I've been having what I consider at least a decent run with the 8 gates.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, it's felt coordinated, let's put it that way, much more so than it used to.
Good. How were your hands and wrist?
Um, Certainly not 100%, nowhere close, but I could sense it. Um, um, in a weird sort of way, I've also been trying to focus on twisting at the same time, and that seems to help out
Uh-huh.
in the process of opening and closing. It's all gentle and not forced.
Absolutely. Because you're trying to accomplish that transition between turning and twisting,
Yes.
which is the same thing we're doing here as opening physically and opening energetically. I mean, the principle is the same. Yeah, good. Jeff?
I felt like I had pretty good sensation and energy movement in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Not in my wrist though.
Uh-huh. Okay. Could you feel pulsing in your Laogong point?
Maybe a little bit on a few of the postures, but not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, there were times, and I think this was when I did feel a little bit of pulsing there. That just the whole hands as a whole, I just felt a good, full, heavy energy. It just felt good, and in particular, I was feeling a good connection when I had the downward postures, feeling a good connection with the earth through them. So maybe that was probably why I wasn't too focused on Lagang. Maybe I should have been a little more, but I think when I felt that pulling throughout the hands, I was probably feeling it in there as well.
Okay, good.
But definitely nothing new in the wrists, unfortunately, though. I'll have to work on that more.
Practice, practice, practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, any form questions? Okay. So, what are you focusing on in the form, Jeff?
Trying just still primarily trying to do the movements through energy and opening and closing and not muscularly and all that. So that's my main focus. This week I tried to also work in, focusing on opening the wrist and into the hand. Didn't feel any separation between that and just letting the energy flow when I did it. So I'm still working on that.
Yeah. I think since we're doing this particular sequence of training, that it's good to try to focus on the specifics of where you are. And and really, quite frankly, as I have said many times, it is many times easier to accomplish these principles in the 8 gates than it is in the form.
Right.
So if you can get them to work well in the 8 gates, it becomes not as difficult to gradually get them to work in the form. At this stage in the form, it is, if you really, before you even think about opening and closing in the form, you should be easily doing bending and stretching and twisting and lengthening, and having relaxation in your shoulders, and no interruption of the breath.
Right.
So if you have accomplished all of that, so that you don't have to think about it anywhere in the form, then you can begin to think about opening and closing, or beginning to allow opening and closing to occur, because it will then start to occur on its own.
Yeah, no, those other principles I still, all of them I'm still working on in the form, yes.
Yeah. They all take a while. It took me, I think twisting was for me the most difficult. I couldn't I wanted to do the turn. So getting to a point where I could let go of doing it and allow the energy to simply twist. That was a big step for me. I mean, I tell you these things because I want you to, I don't know, I think it helps maybe to know that it wasn't just some easy thing I did over the weekend.
Right. Yeah.
It took me years of practice.
Right.
And
yeah, no, I'm definitely still in the early stages of all that stuff. My shoulders relaxation, I think I've actually gotten pretty good at. Probably 90% of the time. Anyways, the other things I'm still working on quite a bit.
yeah.
And part of that too is I don't always have time for a full slowish flow, so I do a bit here, and there are times when I can do a fuller flow that I can try and focus on them for a longer period and try and think about them throughout the flow.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of going in and out of focus on that particular aspect.
Yeah. Well, you do what you can do.
I'm doing what I can do, and I'm making little progress here and there. Maybe not every day, but here and there.
Good. As I think I have said more than once, if you can accomplish all of this in the first 3 postures, or well, it's really 9 postures, but then the rest of it is not all that difficult. So what I'd like, Jeff, is for you to do a flow.
Right.
And we'll just see how you're doing.
All right. my feet, David?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right.
So that was pretty good, Jeff. A couple of general things. One is your elbows sometimes tend to get stuck. I noticed it in particular in wave hands. They have to move too. not only the arms. You don't want to leave them out there. You've got to let them come in and come out also.
Yeah.
And when you're going into incense and gargoyles and subdued tiger, I felt like I was not, you didn't have a clear sense of coming in and out in those.
Yeah, not consistently, I think.
Yeah.
I'm still working on that. I think only one of the four between the gargoyles and the kicks felt really good, a good flow in and out.
Yeah.
But I am working on it. The incense I'm doing better at.
Okay.
Back out like that. But the others is definitely still a work in progress.
Yep.
I think sometimes I try and focus too much on the rotation and forget to do as much on the in and out as well. The arm rotation. I mean,
Yeah.
That still feels awkward for me. I'm still working on that.
Yeah. You definitely are able to kick quite well, so that's a positive. Grass-fed sparrow's tail is still one. That's one that continues to be an issue for all of us for a while. For instance, I felt that, well, one of the things that seemed to be missing was the in movement before you go into G. So, and also when you first begin and you're sinking into the right leg, you can let your arms twist as well as bend, so that as you go into Pung, you have a little more rotation. But then as you go into G, you've got to still have that little bit of in before you go out. So that's at least couldn't see that. You may be feeling it to some extent, but it certainly on Zoom was not apparent. And being aware of this is really out, and then the in needs to keep coming in before you go out again. So it's and it depending on the speed you're working at, of course, that's going to be very small.
Right.
So
So would you just do from the beginning through the first grasping sparrow's tail one time, please?
sure.
Slow narrating it.
You want me to talk too?
Or yell, whichever.
And chew gum too. Yeah.
Well, when you get to where you can begin to open and close beforehand, that can help too, because, and I don't expect you to be able to do that at the moment, because this is not a physical movement. And so when you begin, you're twisting in, out, in, out, out, in, in, and out again. Yeah?
So it's that last little bit of in at near the end is what you were referring to.
What am I referring to?
When you said I was not doing you didn't see me doing the in, you were talking about right at the very end before.
Well, that and also the one going into G, press forward.
Okay. All right, I'll watch that some more.
And actually, you have to really, I mean, to get that, anyway, I will say I had to slow it way, way down, much slower than that.
Yeah.
Way slower than that. Several times slower than that.
Right.
And really find those several transitions in there that when you begin to go more quickly become very small, but they have to be present.
Mm. Yeah, that needs some more refining then. I need to refine that a little bit more then, for sure.
That's why if you can get Grasping Sparrow's Tail and Single Whip to work well and have all of its parts, and you begin to feel the energy moving at that, they contain what you're going to do everywhere else. Maybe a different plane of the air, but
right.
If you could get it, at least for me, it made a huge difference when I could really feel that I was being moved through that.
I feel it much more so in Single Whip than I do Grasping Sparrow's Tail.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me what I need to work on more.
Yeah, I will say in Single Whip, you've gotten the continual circling the ball.
Yeah, that's what I worked on mostly over the last couple of months in that particular form.
Yeah.
In that particular posture, I mean.
Yeah.
It's that and not crossing over my center line at all while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that.
Oh, that.
So, any questions, Jeff?
No. I might have a question next time regarding the Grasping Sparrow's Tail after I work on it a bit more.
Okay.
I'll try and do that because it is probably the most important of the postures of the form.
Yeah.
Section of the form.
It is pretty important.
Yeah.
Bill, we're going to have to wait till next week to work on you.
Okay.
I mean, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer here right at that.
No, not really. I will say that I've been trying to carry over the feeling I have in 8 Gates to the form. When I do that, my mind is not focused on any particular thing, so that's, kind of good and kind of bad. but sometimes I do focus on an individual thing, um, and other times I think I my mind bounces around from thing to thing. Okay, you're noticing this or that. So I don't have a consistent address to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it seems to change from day to day depending on what I feel like working on, I guess.
Well, that um, that's good in the certainly because you know if you're recognizing that something needs to be focused on, um, that's good because then you can really focus on it, um, and and that's fine. You know, a practice doesn't have to have a flow every time, anyway. It's great if you have the time to do that, but we don't always have that. Um, so um, I don't know that I have any particular um, thing except you want to always keep practicing to arrive at that point where all those pieces are happening and you don't have to think about it.
Right. It wasn't so much a question, just reporting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good. Okay. Well, I think that was a good class, guys.
Mm.
So practice as much as you can and have a good week. And Jeff, I'll see you next week, and Bill, I'll see you tomorrow.
Um, as far as scheduling, David, I will not be here on June 9th.
Oh, okay.
And the week before that, the 2nd, there's a chance I won't be here, but I will let you know as we get closer. But definitely not June 9th.
You going away?
Yes.
Any place good?
Um, I'm going to California with Kate and Jesse Lee for their annual Mecca back to her family in Australia. So I'm flying with them to Australia or to Los Angeles, which is the first leg of the trip. Then they go straight from there to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Flight is nonstop, but we're putting 2 days between the flights for them because Kate has come to really struggle with them because it's a very difficult journey alone with a child and all that. So we're changing things around this year. I'm going to go out to Los Angeles with them. We're going to spend an extra day and a half or 2 days, whatever it is, 2 nights there before their flight to Melbourne.
Oh, good.
We'll do whatever for a couple days. So I'll be in Los Angeles basically, and then I'm going to stay an extra day or 2 after that. So I'll be there 5 days in total. Before
Oh,
I come
good.
back, just to visit with a friend or 2 since I'm out there and I never get to California. So
Good.
I'll visit with a friend or 2, maybe have a dinner here or there, and then I'll be back home that late Thursday night.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad you're doing that.
Something different.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, and it helps them to get to Australia in much better shape too.
Yeah,
Tough trip.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
I should also say that I'll be missing a couple of weeks coming up. May 19th and 26th. Those are Tuesdays, I think.
And what are you doing?
We're going to France.
Ah, good.
So,
A particular part?
starting in the south at Toulouse and going straight up the middle through the wine country, chateau country, up to the Normandy beaches, which is one of the main reasons I've always wanted to see that. and then finally over to Paris.
Ah, well, enjoy the wine country.
Yes.
I'm-
I've been
Did you say you're gone for 2 weeks, Bill?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
nice.
It's a tour.
Oh, okay.
Good. Well, thank you for the date, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
All right.
All right.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
week, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.